great-grandmother had been here for 10 years, yet spoke no English. Oh, my gosh. 1930 census says Tomi's 3 times great-grandmother had been here for 41 years and still spoke German. She didn't speak English either. She doesn't even know her own history. She certainly doesn't know this country's history.
Well, there is a woman over the weekend who took it upon herself to research my family history in hopes of digging up some kind of a gotcha moment, a gotcha angle to validate illegal immigration and open borders. And what she found was really shocking, guys. She found that my family who came here in the 1800s from Norway and Germany, that they spoke Norwegian and German.
Okay.
And really what she did is prove that my family came here legally.
Sonny Hostin just got roasted so hard by Lahren, I swear CNN might have filed a wellness check. What started off like one of those smug back and forth spiraled into a full-blown verbal demolition derby, and Sonny showed up without a helmet, knee pads, or even a backup plan. The way Lahren came in swinging, you'd think she was gunning for a championship belt, and wait till you hear what she dragged out from under the rug. Spoiler, it wasn't just dust bunnies and forgotten receipts. We're talking about liberal double standards, hypocrisy with a side of smug, and maybe even a few skeletons that weren't ready to be seen in the daylight. Grab your popcorn because this takedown had more layers than a Kardashian wedding cake, and double the drama. Seriously, Sonny, the walking LinkedIn post who acts like every sentence is gonna save the world, just got wrecked. Not by accident, not gently, but fully dismantled piece by piece by none other than Lahren.
What she was hoping to do was try to call me a hypocrite for believing in merit-based immigration. Again, she failed miserably. But this really isn't what she calls resistance genealogy. It's just another indication of Trump derangement syndrome. But I really am happy, though, that she has such a fascination with my family history, and I'm hoping that she will take on Elizabeth Warren's next.
Wow, that would be very interesting.
The same Lahren who treats spicy takes like gasoline, and every segment like it's her personal bonfire. Sonny didn't fall from grace. She collapsed like a Jenga tower built out of smug tweets and recycled opinions. Sonny Hostin is that person who walks into a room, sniffs out a disagreement, and immediately starts drafting a TED Talk in her head. Unprompted, unwanted, and unwatchable. She's not just dramatic, she's the reigning queen of overreactions, the Duchess of deep sighs, and the high priestess of that infamous phrase, as a woman of color, yet which always seems to drop right before she says something so cringe the whole room collectively rolls their eyes into next week. But this time? Oh, this time was different. Sonny and her View crew thought they could go verbal toe-to-toe with Lahren, but they didn't just miss a step, they face-planted in heels and ego. Sonny came laced up in full self-importance, like she'd just cleaned out the "I'm right, you're problematic" aisle at Target. Meanwhile, Lahren didn't even blink. She held up a mirror so sharp, Sonny practically disintegrated, like someone reminded her of that one Met Gala look we all tried to forget, and that's what really gets under her skin.
It was from Sonny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sonny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sonny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from...
Sonny's whole identity is wrapped in being the intellectual of The View, which, let's be real, is like being the wisest emoji in a text from your aunt. Her game plan is predictable. Flash that moral superiority card, layer on some elite speak, and top it off with that preachy tone that says, "I skimmed the Constitution once, and now I am the Constitution." Here's the real issue. Every time someone dares ask Sonny Hostin to actually back up her takes, it's like watching a goldfish try to explain quantum physics, with dramatic pauses, hair flips, and a level of indignation that could power a whole season of reality TV.
Did you provide them with DNA, 23andMe? Because I cannot believe the detail on your background that they were able to get.
Well, I don't have to. She did all the research for me, so I'm sure my family is very appreciative.
What about Joy saying, though, what are your skills? It's beyond research. It is personal. It is mean.
Well, of course, this is classical Joy Behar, but I would like to ask Joy Behar what her skills are, because perhaps we could swap stories. I know I watch Joy, and she seems like a highly skilled lady, but for her to attack me, that's really interesting. Those in glass houses should not throw stones.
It all kicked off when Sunny, because of course it was Sunny, decided to take a swing at conservatives, painting them like some army of rage-fueled Neanderthals with Wi-Fi. Basically, if you're even 2 inches right of Bernie Sanders, in her world, you're already wearing a tinfoil hat and grunting at your screen. Her whole vibe, sitting on that view couch like she's the Thanos of woke hot takes, snapping her fingers and expecting logic, nuance, and differing opinions to vanish into dust. But here's where things got delicious. Enter Lauren, and say what you will, but she came packing receipts, facts, timelines, quotes, like a walking, talking archive with a no-nonsense attitude. And that calm, unbothered sass, it made Sunny's polished TV intellect crack like knockoff acrylic nails at a boxing match. This wasn't just a debate, it was a demolition. Sunny came with a souffle, Lauren showed up with a steak knife. Sunny's argument started off full of smugness and sparkle, but deflated like a sad party balloon the moment evidence entered the chat. You could practically hear the weight of her own words collapsing as reality pulled the rug out. And Lauren? She didn't just call out a minor contradiction, she peeled back the curtain on Sunny's whole brand. What we saw was a performance. Moral outrage when it's trendy, big words when they sound good, and a whole lot of noise when actual substance is missing.
About you that bothers him so much.
Well, it's not just me, it's anybody who advocates for merit-based immigration or has an issue with open borders. And again, just like you said, they don't seem to understand that we on the right believe in immigration. We understand that we are a nation of immigrants, and I am proud of my heritage. However, I do believe that the immigration crisis of today is apples to oranges from what it was in the 1800s when immigrants came to this country legally, were documented, worked for themselves, asked for nothing, and built a life and a family. That has nothing to do with the illegal immigration crisis of today that we must deal with. But they don't want to acknowledge that. What?
And now, let's dig into Sunny's greatest hits. Those flashy monologues about democracy, freedom, and all that sweet-sounding jazz. Sunny Hostin loves to play the role of democracy's gatekeeper, but only if you pass her vibe check, disagree with her. Suddenly your mic, your platform, and maybe even your right to breathe are up for debate, because nothing says protector of free speech like trying to shut down anyone who doesn't clap on cue. It's democracy with a velvet rope, and guess who's working the door like a TMZ intern on a power trip? Yep, Sunny. But then Lauren rolled in with receipts. And that's when the designer mask started to slip. The moment Lauren hit her with cold, hard facts about her own contradictions, it was like watching a wine snob realize their $200 bottle is just boxed Merlot and a Gucci label. Sunny froze. She stammered. She gave side eyes so sharp they could slice through fabric. She clutched her pearls like they were whispering, "Girl, let go." Her confidence? Gone, vanished. 1 minute she was riding high, the next, pure dial tone. You'd think after all those years on The View, she'd have a backup plan for when her arguments go up in flames like cheap hairspray near a candle. But nope, plan A is smug. Plan B, louder smug. Plan C, cut to commercial. And Lauren wasn't done. She hit on Sunny's most tired move, the way she tries to play spokesperson for every single marginalized group on Earth. This is someone who treats identity like it's Pokemon cards. Gotta collect them all, use whichever one gives you moral immunity, then pull it out mid-debate like an Uno reverse card.
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity and she had no idea who she was.
To Sunny Hostin, identity isn't just who you are, it's ammunition. She walks into every debate like she's assembling the ultimate moral Pokemon deck. First card, woman, then Latina, then lawyer, then martyr, then part-time Oracle and honorary Harvard professor of whatever she Googled 5 minutes ago. The whole stack gets played before she even addresses the topic, like somehow her resume lie equals a mic drop. But here's the kicker. Sunny constantly accuses others of being condescending, while delivering every single take in that "I'm not mad, just disappointed" tone, like a grad school professor who caught you citing Wikipedia in your thesis. She's always like, "We need to educate people," as if the rest of us learned politics from coloring books and cereal boxes. And let's not ignore her Olympic-level obsession with virtue signaling. Sunny's turned being publicly correct into a full-time gig, with benefits, a pension, and probably a company mug. She doesn't just believe she's right, she believes she's morally sterile. Like, disagreeing with her means you need a soul cleanse and a 4-minute lecture on live TV, featuring a New York Times quote and her best concerned face.
During the Obama years, it was a cattle call to come into this nation illegally. And furthermore, this is again the left's attempt at emotional blackmail. And I would just like to state, I don't know if they understand this or not, but if you don't want your family to be broken up when you cross the border illegally, here's an idea. Don't cross the border illegally. Then your family will surely stay together. I don't know why the left can't think of this, but they would rather try to tell us that we hate families, we want to break up families, we're horrible, we're despicable. No, we want to enforce federal immigration law.
But then Lauren came in and flipped the script. She held up that mirror, and Sunny didn't like the reflection. Because here's the truth. You can't parade around pretending to be America's moral compass while constantly picking and choosing when those unshakable values apply. Lauren called it out right there, reminding everyone that integrity isn't something you wear when it matches your outfit. It's what you hold even when it doesn't benefit you. That's when things got real. Sunny fumbled, she mumbled, and right on cue she hit her panic button, pulling her go-to move like clockwork, invoking personal struggle as a shield. In Sunnyland, if the debate starts slipping, just yell, "As a woman of color," and boom, accountability vanishes faster than a magician's rabbit under stage lights. But Lauren wasn't fazed, not even a twitch. She stood there cool, calm, and surgical, laying out contradiction after contradiction, like perfectly itemized receipts on a checkout belt, each one slapped harder than the last.
I think you've resonated with so many people.
I think, in large part, I represent middle America. So you've got the two coasts, and those individuals seem to kind of just talk to each other. And then you've got all of middle America right there that's dying to have a voice. They don't really feel like they have one. They're not represented, beyond their communities. So I think they watch me and they say, well, she speaks like I do. She thinks like I do. She seems to maybe get it like I do, and I think that's why it's resonated. And also, I do something very different. There's not a whole lot of young conservative women out there, and so I provide that for a lot of...
And here's what really cracked Sunny, not just the facts, but the effortlessness of it all. Lauren dismantled Sunny's polished outrage like she'd done it before breakfast. All that theatrical indignation Sunny brings into every conversation, gone. It popped like a balloon in a porcupine factory, loud, messy, and impossible to ignore. Watching her scramble to save what was left of her intellectual pride was better than anything airing on Bravo. No editing needed. This was unfiltered chaos with a side of self-awareness crash and burn. But here's the thing about building your brand on smug sound bites, hashtag heroism, and preachy panel talk. Eventually, someone's gonna check the fine print. And when they do, you better be holding more than dramatic eye rolls, buzzwords, and that "I can't believe I have to explain this to you" peasants energy. Because Sunny's whole persona, it's like an overpriced TED Talk nobody requested, overproduced, under-researched, and completely convinced it's changing lives, when really it's just background noise for people folding laundry.
We keep on talking about criminals and immigrants being criminals, and I just want people to understand what the facts are and the stats are, is that undocumented immigrants are much less likely to have committed crimes than American citizens. American citizens commit more crimes than anyone who is undocumented. I also want to make the point that an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal because he or she is undocumented. That is a civil offense. So to call people illegals is, in and of itself, I think, xenophobic and racist.
While Sunny's busy looking down from her moral penthouse, sipping self-righteousness like it's imported tea, the whole foundation beneath her is cracking, one contradiction at a time. Every time she shuts down dissent, dodges a real challenge, or flat out folds when someone steps into the ring with facts instead of feelings, her intellectual rep takes another hit. Quietly, steadily, brutally. And of course, after the smoke cleared, her defenders came rushing in with the usual PR spin, claiming she was ambushed or taken out of context. Please, if irony had a face, it'd be side-eyeing that take. Because if there's one person who's mastered the art of the passive-aggressive sneak attack, it's Sunny. The woman practically copyrighted polite venom. She's the queen of starting sentences with all due respect, right before verbally body slamming you with Ivy League condescension wrapped in cable TV charm. It's that perfectly practiced tone that says, I'm smarter than you and I'll destroy you, but with a smile. But this time, that charm wore off fast. No amount of well-placed disdain could save her. Sunny Hostin, the self-appointed intellectual titan of daytime TV, got verbally steamrolled by Lahren, who didn't even raise her voice. It wasn't just a debate loss, it was a masterclass in calm destruction, and Sunny never saw it coming. Lahren didn't need to shout, throw papers, or invent a new buzzword to go viral on X. Nope.
If Democrats really want to die on the hill of bringing back plane loads of criminal, illegal alien gang members.
But you haven't proven that they're criminals.
Please,
that's the problem.
Be my guest.
Honestly, like, look, I will be the first one to say if there is a criminal, if there's a gang member in this country, someone who has committed any crime, big or small, get him out. Sure, I'll absolutely concede that. We don't need criminals in this country. But if you're talking about somebody who you don't know because you haven't afforded them due process, then you can't just make that claim.
But the fact remains, President Trump is not only securing our border, but he is deporting criminal, illegal aliens. And if Democrats want to stand in the way of that, and they want to tell their constituents, hey, vote for us in the midterms, vote for us in 2028, we'll make sure that the criminal aliens come back, far be it for me to stand in your...
All she had to do was metaphorically hold up the Sunny Hostin mirror, the one that reflects every smug smirk, every proud head tilt, and all that overcooked self-importance baked into her every word. And the result? Sunny basically slow roasted herself into irrelevance. No seasoning required. This wasn't some rare misstep in an otherwise polished performance. Let's be real, this was the grand finale of a meltdown that's been simmering for years. Sunny's been cracking under the weight of her own ego for so long, someone should have handed her a hard hat and posted a caution sign. Fragile opinions may collapse under pressure. Because here's the thing, Sunny's political takes have never really been about the issues. They're more about showing off how intensely she feels about the issues. Emphasis on the she. It's less, here's what matters, and more, here's why I matter. Every time she starts with that familiar intro, I think what's important to understand is you can practically hear the drum roll for whatever overdramatic monologue is about to follow. And what comes next? Not nuance, not substance, just a performance. A wordy parade of big feelings dressed up as big ideas. This wasn't just a slip, it was a spotlight moment, and the curtain got yanked clean off. Nope, what came out wasn't insight, it was a full-blown scenic route through Sunny's inflated sense of moral superiority, sprinkled with enough overused buzzwords to make a Wordle addict break down in tears. She doesn't inform, she performs. Every take is more of a soliloquy than a statement, but this time, the audience didn't clap, they blinked, and in came Lahren, cool as ever, never one to miss the chance for a silent takedown.
I have a question of my own. Do you lock your doors at home? In your residence, do you have a lock on your door? Do you use that lock?
I do, yeah, I do.
You have an alarm?
And why is that? I mean, you lock your door because you want to know who's coming into your home. It's not because you hate the people outside, it's because you love the people inside. Well, that's what needs to be done with the United States of America. That's why we have a border. We have a right to know who's coming into our country and why. That's what keeps us safe.
Lahren didn't need to shout or turn it into a TV soap scene. She let Sunny be Sunny. That was all it took. No raised voices, no walk-offs, no eye-roll Olympics or producer-pleasing yelling matches. Just a rare surgical kind of demolition. The kind where someone strikes the match, strolls away unfazed, and watches the whole tower crumble under its own poorly built foundation. Quiet, controlled, brutal. And Sunny, she handed out the matches herself. There was no debate. It was an implosion. A philosophical free fall in real time. Lahren didn't even need to touch the jugular. Sunny was too busy tripping over her own contradictions, fumbling buzzwords like slippery soap in a cold shower. Every sentence was a shovel, and Sunny kept digging with gusto. Lahren just sat there, offering the occasional smirk, a casual raised brow, maybe tossing in a light interesting now and then, just enough to fan the flames. But really, she let Sunny do the heavy lifting. The irony? Sunny thought she was leading the charge. She genuinely believed, she was delivering a brilliant takedown.
But what I would like to point out is that there is no correlation between undocumented people and a rise in crime. That's statistically accurate. Immigrants, including undocumented immigrants are less likely to commit crimes in the United States. So this notion somehow that it's about national security, I think is just false.
And that's the masterpiece of it all. She wasn't critiquing anyone. She was unraveling, live on air, while thinking she was winning. It was poetic, it was wild, and it was absolutely unforgettable. Lahren didn't have to raise her voice or toss out insults. She just held up a giant, sparkling mirror and let Sunny Hostin stare directly into it. Every smug smirk, every condescending glance, every logic-free leap came boomeranging right back at her. No interruptions, no chaos, just pure reflection. This wasn't a debate, it was a PSA. Sometimes the best way to win is to let them talk themselves into the ground. And talk Sunny did, but don't feel too bad. Sunny always bounces back. She's like daytime TV Teflon. Another day, another couch segment, another long-winded monologue where she swears she's the last rational soul standing while the rest of the panel just tries to survive without cracking open a dictionary.
Like me, you would believe differently.
But you know what, Alyssa, the woman.
But just to understand, are we saying, do we think the vast majority of Americans are racist? That's what I'm trying to, help me understand.
I think that there is a significant portion that are racist, and you can't dismiss my lived experience.
But Lahren? Oh, Lahren didn't just call her out. She rolled through like a verbal bulldozer on cruise control. She didn't rely on rage or drama. She brought something way more dangerous to the table: coherence. That rare, lethal force in a world full of televised shoutfests and over-rehearsed clapbacks. Her calm presence was louder than all the noise combined. And Sunny, she came unarmed to a logic fight again. So next time Sunny gears up for another round in the battle of wits, let's just hope she remembers to bring at least a little ammo, because if this segment proved anything, it's this: a podium doesn't make you right, a platform doesn't make you wise, and a smirk definitely doesn't make you untouchable, especially when your argument crumbles faster than a gluten-free cookie in a heat wave. Want more epic takedowns of media elite nonsense and performative righteousness? Smash that like button so hard Sunny might just hear it echoing through her dressing room, and don't forget to subscribe, unless you want Sunny herself showing up to explain why you're part of the problem.